Hi there, beautiful souls. Hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the Living Simply channel, a place where we talk about all things spirituality, esotericism, and self transformation. So, a few weeks ago, I ran a poll on my Instagram page, which you are more than welcome to follow, by the way, and I asked you there to choose between the triquetra and the pentagram for the upcoming episode of the Occult Symbols podcast, and it was a very close tie. But the pentagram was favored, and I received many questions, so the pentagram it is. The five-pointed star, or pentagram, is one of the most powerful and persistent symbols in human history. It was a very important symbol to almost every ancient culture we know, but somehow the pentagram got a very controversial reputation, especially after it was portrayed as a representation of the devil, of Satan, and just all things witchy and dark. And by the end of this episode, you will know exactly where this bad rep comes from, and also why my country, Morocco, has a pentagram on its flag. Isn't that cool, by the way? Before we begin, let's talk about the difference between the pentagram and the pentacle, with which it is often assimilated. Without getting into much details about the pentacle's particularities, the easiest way to differentiate between the two is to remember that a pentacle is a pentagram within a circle. As simple as that. The pentagram is a five-sided star, and it is one of the oldest markings known to humankind. It held various meanings varying from astronomical to magical or mathematical. Historically, this symbol goes way back to 6000 BCE in the Tigris-Euphrates region in the Middle East, aka the cradle of humanity where everything stems from. The ancient Babylonians used the pentagram as an apotropaic charm to protect against evil forces, and it was drawn in doors, gates, and portals to banish certain entities from entering or from leaving. Sumerians were also very familiar with this symbol, and to some scholars, the Sumerians thought that the pentagram's corners represented the four corners of Earth, plus the vault of heaven, the top corner represented the vault of heaven, as well as the five visible planets on the night sky, which are Jupiter, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, and Venus. And as we saw in the latest episode of the podcast about the Hand of Fatima symbol and its relationship with the Sumerian goddess Ishtar Inanna, this goddess was related to Venus, and her name was the Queen of Heaven. According to the Greek mathematician and philosopher Pythagoras, founder of the Pythagorean Brotherhood that I also talked about in my numerology video, which I highly recommend you go watch, 5 was the number of man because of the five-fold division of the body, and the ancient Greek division of the soul. So 5 was related to mankind. And at the time, the practice of ritual magic was approached as a way to reach kenosis, closeness with God, through the use of symbols and rituals that imitate the divine state. So the pentagram was therefore used as a microcosm of the human body. There's 2 feet, 2 hands, and 1 head. And each of the 5 points represented an element of the human body and soul as well. So fire, water, air, earth, and psyche. The Pythagoreans held the pentacle and the pentagram sacred to Hygeia, which is a goddess of healing, whose name, Hygeia, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, was an anagram in Greek for the elements. To Pythagoras and his students, the pentagram also represented a mathematical wonder. And I won't dive deeper into all of this mathematical stuff, the golden ratio, sacred geometry, aspects of the pentagram, well, because I need to do a lot more research, and I want to share with you something that is accurate, and I am not a pro at maths. Big confession, guys, I sucked at maths when I was growing up, so I will not be talking about this today, but it is out there. So if this is something that interests you, if sacred geometry is something that interests you, I invite you to look it up And go check my other video on the Pythagorean Brotherhood, which can really, really help you understand the philosophy behind this great mathematical school of thought, if I may call it this way. Moving on, the pentagram was often used as the seal of the city of Jerusalem during the period of 300 150 BCE, and this symbol should not be confused with the Star of David, by the way, or the hexagram, which I would love to talk about in the future, so let me know in the comment section down below if that would be something that interests you. But anyways, in the Jewish Kabbalistic tradition, the pentagram represents the 5 upper sephirots in the Tree of Life, which are Chesed, Gevurah, Hokmah, Bina, and Keter, which translates to mercy, justice, severity, wisdom, understanding, and divine transcendence. And also, if you want me to speak more about the Tree of Life, because this is something that absolutely amazes me and that has taught me a lot, let me know. I would love to dedicate a video on that. So prior to the modern association with the occult, Christians also commonly use the pentagram to represent more conceptual and spiritual concepts. To Christians, this represented the 5 wounds of Jesus. And these 5 sacred wounds, like they were called, are the 5 persons Jesus Christ suffered during his crucifixion. So they have been the focus of particular devotions, especially in the early Middle Ages. So this symbol has also been used in Christianity. And based on Renaissance-era occultism and Neoplatonism, the pentagram found its way into the symbolism of modern and New Age occultists. Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa, among many others, perpetuated the popularity of the pentagram as a magical symbol, maintaining an attribution of elements, planets, and alchemical symbols to these 5 points. And in the 19th century, the French occultist Eliphas Lévy wrote in his very important book, Dogmes et rituels de la haute magie, as will be seen, all mysteries of magic, all symbols of gnosis, all figures of occultism, all Kabbalistic keys of prophecy are summed up in the sign of the pentagram, which Paracelsus proclaims to be the greatest and most potent of all signs. So as you can see, to Lévy, the pentagram expresses the mind's domination over the elements, and it is by this sign that we bind the spirits of air, fire, water, and earth, and to him it's just a multi-layered symbol. In this spirit, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn developed the use of the pentagram in one of its most famous rituals as an example, which is the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, which is still used to this day by those who practice or follow the Golden Dawn Hermeticism. But wait, how did such a potent symbol and such a popular symbol become related to evil? That's the question that I want to answer today. Well, the first ever goat pentagram was found in La Clé de la Magie Noire, which is a book by the French occultist Stanislas de Gaeta, in the 19th century also, which is basically New Age, where the New Age movement was born. So he was inspired, of course, by Lévy's own depiction of the now widely popular Baphomet. And by mid-19th century, a clear distinction had developed amongst Western occultists regarding the pentagram's meaning, depending on its orientation. So with a single point upwards, the pentagram depicts spirit presiding over the 4 elements of matter, so it was essentially thought to be a good and auspicious symbol. Now, with the 2 points projecting out upwards, the pentagram becomes evil, attracting sinister forces because it somehow overturns the proper order of things and shows the triumph of matter over spirit. Also called the flaming star, and it was a reverse pentagram linked to black magic, antagonism, sin, materialism, and fatality. Later on, the goat pentagram was redrawn by the Church of Satan, who used it as their logo, entrenching this idea that it was tied to the Christian devil, or the Christian way of looking at the devil. Even though, and I have to say it for my viewers, the Church of Satan is not related to Satan. It's actually an atheistic movement who views the devil as a model of behavior or as an archetype of pride, individualism, and enlightenment. They don't look at the devil as an actual entity or being, but more as a way of looking and approaching the world. A glitch in the matrix does occur with Aleister Crowley, an important figure in occultism, who once was part of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, because according to him, the reversed pentagram is not evil and does not stand for the triumph of matter over spirit, but rather the descent of spirit into matter. And I cannot agree more. So Thelema is one of the most recent movements, if I can call it this way, that actually teaches something different from the 19th century way of looking at the reversed pentagram. Okay, so what have we learned today? That the pentagram symbolism has persisted for centuries, that it has evolved and greatly influenced theologies of diverse traditions, that a lot of the New Age hype about the pentagram is based on fairly recent writings, and that the pentagram is not evil. So the goat, the Baphomet, the devil, all of these are mental constructs, okay? So if one chooses to abide by them, they will indeed become a reality, and they will turn the pentagram into something evil. But that's a choice. It is not the meaning of the symbol. Oh, and before I go, I promised I would reveal why the Moroccan flag has a pentagram on it. Because you see, in Morocco, if you ask people why there's a pentagram on the Moroccan flag, they will often tell you that they stand for the 5 pillars of Islam, which is definitely not the case. Our Moroccan pentagram stands for, drumroll please, Solomon's seal. This is the archetypal king of Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike. And personally, I also believe that it's a wink to our Moroccan rich magical history and heritage. On this note, let me know in the comment section down below if you loved this episode, what have you learned, and I wish you a blessed week. See you next time. Bye bye.